Hi, this is Catherine, and welcome back to Taking Tea with Catherine. I'm drinking a peppermint lemon tea, which is kind of boring, I know, but I hope not to bore you today. But it is a good tea. It's a very good, one of those refreshing, I always say refreshing, don't I? But yes, it is. But it's good for all year long, but it is definitely good for the autumn, winter time. It is getting colder, and when it gets colder, what I like to do is make like a squirrel and just prepare for hibernation. And my version of that isn't collecting acorns, although I wouldn't mind doing that, and getting all kinds of food together, which is something I do before maybe a storm, but otherwise not really. But I like to just hoard books and hoard some more books. No, actually, I tend to, hoard books all year long, but I like to reason to myself, this is why I'm hoarding the books, because I'm getting ready for the cold weather that is already here. So, I love the way I talk to myself. I love the way I reason my way into all kinds of shenanigans. But I am actually happy because some of the books that I have got purchased in some way recently are very fun books to me. And in going through these things, to my great shame, I saw I have way too many books to show in just one sitting. And so I divided them again, which I did before, between nonfiction and fiction. And which is actually good because this is Nonfiction November, so it gave me a priority to start off with the nonfiction, although I may continue with the fiction in another day, etc. But so, let's get started. I'm going to kind of work my way back a little bit. Some of these books I did purchase a little while ago. I would say either early autumn or late summer even, but I somehow never managed to mention them in any of my hauls. I'm getting distracted by those piles of books over there. I really have to do something about that. The big thing I need to haul maybe is either haul things out on a haul or haul another bookshelf. I don't know. I don't have room for these things, but you know what? The perils of being a book lover. So, but anyway, I thought I'd just include what I did get in that late summertime period, but not too many because most of these I have purchased recently. So I'm going to start with the latest book that I've purchased, and I went to Texas last week and visited my sister, and I had a great time. And I went to some lovely bookshops with her because that's one of the things I do with my sister a lot. We don't go crazy buying books together. I only purchased actually 3 books, although one of them was an omnibus, which means 3 books in one. I smell cigarette smoke. Someone's smoking outside. I'm going to be distracted and cranky. Don't you love distracted, cranky Catherine? But anyway, yeah, so, but there's 2 books that were fiction, so you're not going to see them today. I'm just going to include the one I found, well, my sister actually found and then showed me, and of course I got it, in half-price books. It still has a sticker on it, and it's a lovely nonfiction, and it's called Adventures in the Strand by Mike Ashley. I forgot the name of the writer, and I always forget the name of the writer. I'm sorry, guys, I need to put a lot of work into this. But this is about Arthur Conan Doyle and his involvement with the Strand magazine. And mostly that's going to be about Sherlock Holmes situations, but I know he also tried to publish all kinds of stuff, and he did publish all kinds of other things, but everybody remembers Sherlock Holmes. Sorry, Arthur Conan Doyle, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, that's just your legacy. Deal with it. But that's okay, because we love that, and I personally knew a little bit about this history, but not specifically a lot about this magazine. And I've already started. I was reading on my flight back, and I hope to finish it this month because I think it might be a good idea to talk about it in Tea and Mystery if I have time to do that this month, because I thought I'm not going to be reading any actual fiction mysteries, or at least I'm not going to complete any this month because I'm focusing on nonfiction. So, yeah. So, I might as well go with a nonfiction book that's about mysteries. So, this could be it, but I don't know yet. We shall see. Tune in to see. But I've been attached to the idea of the Strand magazine for the reason that, first of all, the word Strand makes me happy in so many ways. Vocal frying. So many ways. One of the things I liked about it before I even knew about it in London, really, was the bookshop in New York called the Strand Bookshop. Strand Bookstore. The Strand, basically. And so that's already a good, relationship with such a word. I also did hear about the Strand magazine because of reading about Sherlock Holmes. So that's already a great thing. At some point, I had bought a copy of the Strand magazine. I wonder if it's still the same, but it must be because they had an actual Sherlock Holmes mystery written by someone else, so like a pastiche, but still, I think it was authorized or whatever by the estate. I think it was. But, so it's kind of fun to read an actual Sherlock Holmes, you know? Okay, I'm going on and on about this one, but the other reason is because I really like that street called the Strand in London, and I think it's it's based loosely on that as well, because I think the offices were right off the Strand. So it's a wonderful thing. I hope that this is a good book, and I shall let you know if it is. Okay, we spent way too much time in that book. But you love spending time with me, don't you? I sound like Mr. Rogers, but that's coming out. Anyway, I can't wait. All right, so the next one I'm going to show you is from my little forays into Book Off, which is another, not a mistake, but a thing I do sometimes, which I try to talk myself out of, but it's so close to my job, and there's so many $1 books or cheaper books. So here's 3, and I don't know. They're all different. This is called Nights at Rizzoli by Felice Picano. It's a book about bookshops and books and stuff like that. So it's a small book, $1. $1 sounds cheap. But it's just about, it's a memoir and just about books and bookshops. I haven't read it yet, but I've seen Rizzoli bookshops around, and I'm hoping it's about that. Here's me going on all kinds of premises, and I'm probably right, but I could be wrong. So we'll see, and if not, it still looks like it's going to be a great book. It's still got the little, $1 thing on here. I haven't been peeling very well, but kind of a cool picture. So, a quick read, possibly. This one I just thought was apropos of me. Also $1, like me. But anyway, spinster, making a life of one's own. Yeah, I'm very much a spinster. I would think. In the definition of the word, I'm probably quite relatable to this, and except I don't actually do any spinning. Not even of the turntable, DJ, or any of those things. But, the author's name is Kate Bolick, which sounds fun, and I think that it will be an interesting little study, and if it's not, let's see, journalist and cultural critic Kate Bolick invites us into her carefully considered, passionately lived life, remaining unmarried, etc. Oh, she goes into all these people. Look at this. People I've never heard of. Nath Boyce, essayist Maeve Brennan, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, sounds familiar. But then, poet Edna St. Vincent Millay, a favorite of mine, and novelist Edith Wharton, also a favorite, semi-favorite. And so, for $1, even if it isn't good, $1. All right. See, this is what I tell myself. And then, tying into my love for Victorian novelists, and I do like Claire Tomlin. I don't think I've read this, and I found it for a reasonable price in Book Off, and Charles Dickens, a biography. So that could be fun. And still coming off of October, I'm still very much curious, and I am going to read a Dickens book next month, which I will talk about shortly, but not today. And so that could be something I could read in tandem, but I probably have too many books to read already next month, so we'll see. Anyway, so that's Book Off. All right, and just going into, I actually think I bought this online, which is kind of a shame because the whole purpose of this book is kind of to buy this in an independent bookshop or something. But you know what? I do buy in independent bookshops. I do, so I don't feel bad. But this is a book that I kept seeing, and I just need it because I'm a New Yorker, and I love books. And so this is a book lover's guide to New York. It's a very recent release. It's got an apple, big apple, all that corny stuff. But I love that. I love the flying books. It makes me very happy. I already looked through it a bit, and it has a lot of places that I've already been to, so it makes me feel kind of proud of myself. But it also has a ton of places I haven't been to, some places that I keep meaning to go to, and I've never been to Ottendorfer Library, so that could be fun. But it's kind of like, I did this with a tea book that I had, a tea in New York. I think I showed it once. And I just made it a point to get it to as many of them as possible. And I can do that here because I've already been to quite a few. So goals and just enjoyment, good pictures. I just love it. Smells good. So, yeah, I got that. Speaking of bookshops, Here's two books I bought. These are the ones I bought, I think in late summer, early autumn. Had to be late summer because it was a thing that Barnes and Noble did, which was a big sale, like, and they called it like their book haul. So it was like, yeah, let's go with that whole haul deal, and indeed, and hashtag book haul. They actually had that, like, please show your hauls and everything. And I'm like, oh, I do that already, but I had bought a stack of things, and these are the two nonfiction that I purchased, and they were really good prices. I think I mentioned already that Anthony Horowitz book was part of this haul. This one's called Greek to Me, Adventures of the Comma Queen by Mary Morris. And anything about grammar and commas and all that stuff, like each shoots and leaves, I enjoy that stuff. I'm a book nerd and a word nerd and a grammar nerd, pretty much. And apparently she goes to Greece too, so it's a bit of a travel writing situation. So, cool. I should read more about Greece because, I grew up in a town, Astoria, Queens, which is a very Greek neighborhood, and it's nice to know your roots even if you're not actually Greek, if that makes any sense. But anyway, any excuse to read travel books, I will. And grammar books. All in one, lovely. And this one, I keep meaning to read, just like I keep meaning to get therapy. And I've seen this book on BookTube quite a few times, and it's called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. You should talk to someone. So it's apparently about a therapist getting therapy. I know about it, but I don't know everything about it. I kind of want to go into it, even though I've heard a lot about it. I kind of want to go into it a little bit fresh, and I keep meaning to start this one. I find therapy very interesting, and like I said, I haven't really been very much experienced in that situation, but I do see the merits of it. I did finish Little Panic, which I mentioned as one of my TBRs for nonfiction. I'll get into it another time, but it talks a little bit about therapy too and its uses. So I'm curious to see what this has to say. All right. Not last yet, but pretty much close to last. I bought a number of books. I don't know why. I went a little nuts on thrift books. I had never bought anything that I know of on thrift books before, but then I saw a few things and I said, oh boy. Actually, this last one, I'm not sure if I bought it in thrift books, but let's pretend I did because I don't know where I got it. I know I got it online. But the first two I'll show you anyway. So I've been meaning to get into. I've been a fan and reading a lot of books for like 20 years plus about the English kings and queens. And I've read about other kings and queens too, but mainly that. And now with the crown back again, there's more of that nerdy interest, which I know enough though. Not everything, but I know enough about the kings and queens from 1066, the William the Conqueror, Battle of Hastings, onward, the Norman invasion. But previous to that, even though I've watched some things, and I read a book called Queen Emma and the Vikings, I think it was called, or is it Emma and the Vikings? I think it was Queen Emma and the Vikings. So it had a little bit to do with the Saxons and the Vikings that were involved in England before 1066, but shortly before 1066. So I know a little bit about the Saxons, and of course I know a little bit before that. I know a bit about Roman Britain, Celtic, etc., but not a lot. And I've been hearing interesting things about Alfred the Great, and I know Jennifer Brooks, who I've mentioned a number of times, whose channel I really enjoy, has mentioned this particular king, and I thought I better get started on Alfred the Great. And so I found The White Horse King by Benjamin Markle. I hope it's pretty decent. At least it will be a start. I only know a little bit about him, something about cakes, something about him being more of a studious guy, maybe not in the best of health. Sounds like me. Bookish hypochondriac. So, yeah, I would like to read this, and it doesn't look like a very big book. So, even though I don't mind big books, sometimes it's nice to get started on a subject in a little more compact situation, because then you want to know more. So that's one. Here's a book that I bought, even though I've read it already, and I took it out of the library, and I've mentioned Jenny Lawson a number of times on this channel. When I was in Texas last week, I wanted to see the site of her new bookshop, which is not open yet, Nowhere Bookshop. It won't be open until next year. Shame that I couldn't see it open, but at least I got to see the space. It's pretty empty inside, but you can envision where the bookshelves might be, which is fun too. And it's big. I know they say about things being big in Texas. My goodness, it is a good space. And I think they can make great use out of it. They could put a cafe. I just can't wait to see how it is. But until then, I can only live vicariously through the writings of Jenny Lawson And I already had maybe we should talk some this other one. Oh, it's called I'm Turning My Back. Oh, what's it called? You guys. I'm blanking. It's her first book. Sue me. Don't sue me. And so the second book is Furiously Happy. Actually, this was my first book of Jenny Lawson, and I absolutely was laughing. It just hit me in the right way. Not everyone likes this sort of thing. I mean, I'm not that big into taxidermy, which she talks about, but I just love her humor and the way she writes, and some of it is quite relatable, except the taxidermy, but that's okay. She has a cat that looks like my Freddy a little bit, here's the thing that I kind of found weird. You never find like personal things in someone's book. Well, okay, so I got this on Thrift Books, and it had a note. It's nice handwriting, and it's to someone named Rebecca. And my sister saw a picture of it and said it looked like my handwriting, but the R's are a little off. But it says, my friend who likes books, likes to write, loves dark chocolate, occasionally says naughty words, wears super groovy jewelry, is kind, almost always values bread and cheese, great girl, has brilliant insights, cares deeply about others, is figuring out her way with aplomb and grace. To you I say, and she, it was her birthday, love. Kyra? It looks like Kyra, or Kim. K-Y-M? I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, so I kind of don't want to take that out of the book because I don't know why. It makes me sad that it's in here. Unless it was from something else and she just used it as a bookshop and it was done with it. But I just kind of feel sad because this is not an ancient book that, like what happened that, and this book is like pristine. Almost. And I'll mention this probably when I talk about the fiction, but a number of the books that I got that were considered very good came out not very good at all, like folded fronts. And some of the books that were good, which is supposed to be not as good as very good, came out like new. So I was very confused about that because it affects the price setting. I'm like, why am I spending more money for worse quality thrift books? Get on that. But they'll not listen to me. But anyway, so I don't know, it made me kind of sad that something so personal just got thrown out. Like, if I unhaul a book, which I do sometimes, I don't do it as much as I should, but if I unhaul a book, I kind of take out the personal things. Like, I understand if it was written in the book, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe something happens to this girl. I don't know, but it makes me curious. Like, what is that story? And, like, this girl picked this out for her, and then I don't know, but apparently she likes dark chocolate. That's nice. So, I do mean to read this again. This is one of those merit a reread sort of things. So, looking forward to that. And now it's my collection. The last book that I'm going to mention here, I had my eye on for a while. And I must have, this probably wasn't from Thrift Books. I don't know. Did I get it on Amazon? I might have gone on Amazon. And it has an old, I got it for a decent price. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it has the British pound sign, which as an Anglophile I always love, even though I've seen it many times, but it makes me happy. Anyways, The Dun Cow Rib, A Very Natural Childhood by John Lister Kay. I have other books, I'm pretty sure, by him that I've mentioned before. Like I said, I'm more into nature writing than I used to be. Actually, no, I've always been into nature writing. I've not collected as many books, apparently. Yes, okay, Gods of the Morning by Lister Kay was the other book I have about birds in Scotland. So this is about his childhood and animal life, and this is so up my alley because you can see the little animals that I happen to like foxes and badgers and, oh goodness sakes, and other animals, which I will remember their names of more. I'm forgetting bird names, I'm forgetting rodenty names, there's a deer. But I think it'll be a fun read, and I hope it will be a fun read, but if not, at least it's a very pretty read. Anyway, I don't have to go on and on about every book, do I? Because it's not a review. But I hope you like that collection. But I also thought I'd mention a haul that technically is nonfiction, but it's very, very me, and very much in context with what I was talking about last month about Victoria Magazine. I only buy Victoria Magazine when it's something that I really want to read, like their England issues or something like that. And this is one of their special editions called Victoria Classics Tea Pleasures. Celebrate the art of taking tea, with or without Catherine. So I'm looking forward to this. It's not a book, but it's a magazine, and it's kind of still bookish because again, I equate getting into tea and classics with the time period that I got into Victoria magazines. So all around good times. So obviously I read at least one of these books, but I still would love to hear your opinion on any of them, and if any of them I should read earlier than others, or any of them that are absolutely rubbish and I should discard. That's your opinion, but I like to hear it as long as they're nice opinions at the same time. You know. And if you like what you see, please subscribe, and I will be sure to subscribe to you if you have a bookish channel, or a tea channel, or a cat channel. This has been Catherine from Taking Tea with Catherine. Hope you have a lovely day, and goodbye.